Good evening. A large boat carrying about 160 illegal immigrants has arrived at Christmas Island, the third in a week. Witnesses say the arrivals appear to be from the Middle East. Meanwhile, a big group of East Timorese refugees in Perth wants the federal government to let them stay longer in Australia. The refugees are due to fly home in just over a week.
Refugees staying at Perth's Lewin Barracks are urging the federal government to allow them to stay in Australia until living conditions improve in East Timor.
And even though they want to go back and rebuild Timor, they have no infrastructure, but they're going to be dying of starvation, of disease. So the death would be more painful and longer.
Victor Arvish, who arrived from East Timor yesterday, says the current wet season has only worsened the situation, with many still living without shelter.
Present moment, there is nothing, absolutely nothing organised in East Timor, in Dili or the whole rest of East Timor.
But Immigration Minister Philip Ruddock says the region has already been declared safe by the United Nations.
The definition of safe that they use is simply that the East Timorese no longer have a well-founded fear of persecution, not that it's safe in any other sense.
One ought not to be unreasonably building up expectations that you remain in Australia and hope that over time a resettlement outcome might be the objective.
26 bodies exhumed from 3 mass graves in West Timor are being returned to East Timor. All are believed to be the victims of a massacre in September at a church in the East Timorese town of Suai.
A mournful end to a mystery. The bodies of 3 murdered priests are returned to East Timor from their West Timor grave. They were killed in September at a church in Suai, along with scores of refugees. 2 of the priests were taken to their places of birth in towns outside of Dili, but an Indonesian Jesuit, Father Dewanto, was buried in Dili today.
He was barely 3 months old priest, so a very young man who wanted to devote his life to the mission, whatever mission he would be assigned. And this first mission was enough for him. The Lord took him away.
While 26 victims of the Suai church massacre have now been found, the whereabouts of other refugees hiding in that church is still unknown.
New Zealand is to have a change of government. The Prime Minister, Jenny Shipley's party, has been thrown out of office after 9 years. The Labor Party will form a coalition government with the left-wing Alliance Party. Helen Clark will become the country's second female Prime Minister. The West Australian government has announced a new plan to reduce the number of bushfires on the outskirts of Perth.
It's scenes like this that the government wants to avoid this summer. Last year there were 9,000 bushfires in WA. Now the community is being called on to help stamp them out.
This is a complementary exercise, trying to encourage people into the partnership of local government, state government, the fire authorities, to do something for themselves, because no government, state or local, can do this for people.
Summer Safe Sunday will now be held on the last Sunday in November every year. The aim is to encourage people to clean their homes and yards before the fire season begins.
But what you can do is control the spread and control the damage to a home, if you take sensible precautions.
While houses in the Darling Escarpment are more vulnerable, all homeowners are being advised to remove material from gutters, trim trees near overhanging power lines, ensure fire breaks have been cut, and clear all potential fire hazards.
Yes, in winter, of course, we tend to bring our firewood out, and we have it in close proximity to our homes and to our fireplaces. And often you find that people are leaving it beside the house, and it really needs to be removed so it isn't a fire hazard.
The government hopes Summer Safe Sunday will become a national initiative. Fiona Argyle, ABC News.
A ship evoking memories of a brutal part of Western Australian history has arrived in Sydney Harbour. The replica of the 17th century sailing ship Batavia made the long voyage from the Netherlands much more safely than the original.
The Batavia was carried into Sydney Harbour early yesterday morning on the back of a semi-submersible dock ship. But today she regained her dignity and was slowly and gently eased into the harbour, her first time afloat in Australian waters, her arrival sparking excitement in maritime circles.
Batavia is one of the best known ships of the Dutch East Indies Company, and so it has a link to Australia way back 150 years before Cook and the British exploration and discovery.
The original Batavia was wrecked off the coast of West Australia in 1629 while on her maiden voyage. Some 120 survivors were slaughtered in a mutiny that followed. The replica was brought over from the Netherlands to help celebrate the Olympic year. It will remain in Sydney until after Centenary of Federation celebrations in January 2001.
The weather forecast in the north, Gascoyne, Goldfields and parts of the southwest land division, isolated showers and thunderstorms. In Perth, fine with easterly winds and an afternoon sea breeze, a forecast maximum of 33. Fine until Wednesday, when it should be unsettled with showers possible. The trend is for unsettled weather, then a return to fine conditions. And that's all from the television newsroom for tonight. Good night.